Shout out to our sponsor, Loot Anime.
Get a crate of anime and manga goodies for only $24.95 each month.
Use offer code THEKNOW to get $3 off a new subscription. Welcome to The Now, I'm Ashley Jenkins.
And I'm Adam Ellis.
Call of Duty is taking Warfare to the infinite level later this year, but so far that infinite part doesn't seem to be describing the game's early sales.
Apparently, those weren't just a bunch of empty dislikes in the trailer. This news about the game's sales, or lack thereof, comes from iTechHead, who snagged the game's pre-order data from VG charts.
And when you compare these pre-orders to last year's pre-orders, we could be looking at an extremely low point for the series, commercially speaking, leading some to wonder if the game's new hard sci-fi direction is gonna cause a huge flop.
Now, before we get any farther, we're dealing with estimates here. VG Charts gets its data from a variety of inexact methods, including polling gamers, retailers, studying consumer demand and inventory levels, and consulting with publishers and manufacturers.
Yeah, it's not entirely accurate all the time, but it at least gives us an indication of a game's pre-order numbers relative to other games, and it does come from what retailers say they're moving, so really it's the best number we got.
According to the latest top pre-sellers chart, the only thing that's moving about Infinite Warfare is the dislike bar on YouTube.
And that is moving. The last batch of pre-order numbers compiles data up through the middle of last month. It was a simpler time in games. Overwatch was yet to release, and Metal Gear Solid Pachinko was just a meme that wouldn't die on the internet.
Oh, how times have changed. Considering that Call of Duty games always rank among the top sellers of the entire year, you'd expect to find Infinite Warfare ranking near the top of that pre-order list as well, except you'd be wrong.
Unless you called it being a huge flop, and then you'd be right. You won't even find it in the top 20 or 30 pre-selling games. Instead, the PS4 and Xbox One versions are sitting right around 34 and 37 respectively. The PS4 version currently has 33,000 total estimated pre-orders, while the Xbox One version has around 30,500 or so.
Ooh, that's a bit of a far cry from the franchise's yearly average in the tens of millions!
To give those numbers just a little bit of perspective, because I know not everyone cares about pre-orders, let's hop elsewhere on the list. According to estimates, the two versions of Call of Duty Infinite Warfare combined have similar pre-order numbers to games like One Piece, Burning Blood, and Tokyo Mirage Sessions FE, because everybody knows what those games are.
They're popular in Japan.
One person here who's watching this might know what that is. They can let us know. Oh, it's Caden. Of course it was Caden raising his hand.
But of course, we can't just look at these numbers in a vacuum. They need to have a little more context. So let's hop over to pre-order data from last year's Call of Duty Black Ops 3.
You know, from like Wayne's World. Anyway, at the same point last year, around mid-May, Black Ops 3 had more than 10 times the amount of Infinite Warfare's pre-orders. Yes, literally 10 times as many pre-orders.
1 year ago, the Xbox version of Black Ops 3 was the #1 most pre-ordered game, even 6 months away from release, with more than 423,000 pre-orders total. Compared to Infinite Warfare's 30,000 pre-orders, yeah, that's not looking too good for the new game.
Wow, that hurts. The PS4 version tells a similar story. That version had over 287,000 pre-orders by this time last year, compared to Infinite Warfare's 33,000.
That trend is a little bit different than Activision's CEO Eric Hirschberg's insistence that pre-orders are off to a very strong start back in March. He also said that the likes on the trailer were the highest they'd ever seen.
Oh boy.
Oof.
The really baffling thing about these pre-order numbers is that the game didn't get the expected boost from the remastered version of Modern Warfare, which will be included with the legacy version of Infinite Warfare.
Packaging both together seemed like a smart tactical play on the part of Activision. Put something similar in the box with the risky new sci-fi direction, just to give people a little bit of everything.
Because we like to pay for old games now, more than we like to pay for new games. It's weird. But so far it hasn't seemed to work, though it is worth noting that pre-order data is a whole different beast than actual sales. Just a glance at the chart does show a few things that don't exactly make sense in the real world.
Like the fact that Kingdom Hearts 3,
Hooray!
which people have zero information about, is
Don't care.
still the #7 most pre-ordered game right now.
Don't know, don't care, still love. These charts also don't include PC data, so that's another thing to consider here. We also have yet to get the full multiplayer reveal for Infinite Warfare. That should be coming with E3, but again, that didn't seem to have affected Black Ops 3 last year in the slightest.
While pre-order data doesn't predict exactly how a game is going to do commercially, it gives some strong indicators. Overwatch, for instance, had around 500,000 pre-orders at this time last month, before going in to do 7 million in sales in its first week.
Or thereabouts, yeah, 7 million players, so...
We have to assume.
Ish?
Yeah.
Ish? Either way, it's a lot. So not everybody pre-orders that's ultimately going to buy the game. In fact, more and more people are choosing not to pre-order, but pre-orders do dictate the level of stock that retailers put on the shelves, which is why businesses push it.
They know that for every pre-order, they're going to be able to move X number of games, so it helps them determine what they should bring into stores. And then you get your big, we shipped 11 billion games press release a few weeks after the game's out.
Yeah, leading up to Black Ops 3's release, that game had about 1.5 million pre-orders on console, which translated into approximately 5 million sales in the first week and a total of 23 million sales to date. Not too shabby. Not their peak, certainly, but no one's gonna complain about 20 plus million sales, right?
That's a lot. So Infinite Warfare only doing a fraction of the pre-orders is going to hurt the game in the long term if they can't pick those numbers up.
Now what's interesting about all this is the reaction that we saw from gamers on YouTube. The trailer has around 2.8 million dislikes at the moment. It's not just the internet puffing its chest. I mean, we do that all the time, but it's not just that in this case. It's an actual representation of people putting their money where their mouths or dislikes are, or not putting their money where those dislikes are, as the case may be.
As much as the trailer was panned by mass dislikers, for the most part, people assumed the series would still hit its usual ridiculous numbers, because that's what Call of Duty does. But it really does seem that people are completely put off by the new direction of the franchise, and it's having a significant impact on actual sales.
We'll have to see if the Call of Duty spaceship gets righted by the time the game releases on November 4th, but they'd have to do something pretty crazy,
Very
it
crazy.
looks like.
What do you guys think of Infinite Warfare's falling pre-orders? Let us know in the comments.
And let us know how far you think Battlefield 1 is going to kick the pants off it. For future news on Call of Duty, Infinite Warfare, whatever you feel like calling it this time around, like this video and subscribe to the Know.
Thanks to Loot Anime for sponsoring this update.
Loot Anime sends you over $60 worth of cool stuff every month starting at $24.95.
Each crate has a theme, and this month's theme is Victory!
Victory! The new crate features exclusive items from Yowamushi Pedal, free Splatoon, and more.
Use offer code THEKNOW to get a $3 off a new subscription.
Yeah, savings!